Hello everyone, today I want to talk about weapon switching, the shotgun reloading trick, the knife, as well as some general aspect of combat, such as guarding and dodging enemy attacks in Resident Evil Village. First, I want to talk about weapon switching. You can cancel certain animations from some weapons by switching to another weapon. For example, if you use a rifle, every time you fire, you need to clock the rifle. Even if you zoom in, you still have to do it. However, I can cancel this animation if I switch to another weapon immediately after firing the rifle. So after I fire the rifle, I can switch to say a shotgun or the handgun, and the clocking animation will be cancelled. You can do the same thing with the shotgun. Every time you shoot the shotgun, you have to pump it. However, you can skip this animation by switching it to another weapon. Now, this weapon switching trick is a little bit limited with a grenade launcher because you can only load a single round into it. So if you fire the grenade launcher, switch to another weapon, then switch back to it, you have to reload. But you can use the weapon switching trick with a mine as well. So after you placing the mine on the ground, when you get up, you can quickly switch to another weapon. The same thing you can do with a pipe bomb. So after you throw the pipe bomb, you can again quickly switch to, let's say, the shotgun and continue to fire. However, you have to do the pipe bomb throwing animation. The same, you have to do the animation where you put the mine on the ground. But during the recovery animation, you can quickly switch to another weapon. So this can be pretty useful because you can place a mine down and then switch to the shotgun and continue to fire the weapon. It will take some practice to quickly switch between different weapons. If you do it too fast, you will actually not fire the weapon, you will just switch between weapons. So it can be counterproductive. In the middle of combat, it is a little bit difficult to do because enemies can move very quickly. They can easily surround you, especially on high difficulties. So you're trying to aim, you're trying to guard attacks, you're trying to switch between the shotgun and the pistol. It can be very hectic. So it is a good idea sometimes just to reposition yourself. It is better to free aim when you're quickly trying to switch between different weapons. You can zoom in by pressing the L2 button to improve your accuracy, but then you do the zooming animation, which can be quite annoying. Additionally, it appears to be a little bit slower switching between weapons if you're trying to zoom in, although I haven't fully tested that. However, free aiming does have a lot of accuracy penalties, especially with a rifle. The accuracy of the rifle becomes very low. But it is okay with the shotgun because even though the spread is larger, the shotgun has a large hitbox, so it can easily catch enemies. It is still okay with the pistol. I like the shotgun pistol combination where I fire the shotgun, then quickly switch to the pistol and switch back to the shotgun and fire again. It is also okay with a grenade launcher because the grenade launcher is an AoE weapon, so you can just shoot it on the ground or to the side of the wall and let the explosion catch enemies. You can use weapon switching to cancel the reloading animation. You can also cancel it by simply pressing guard. However, you cannot cancel the healing animation by switching to different weapons, but you can cancel it by aiming and firing the weapon, or alternatively, you can simply press the guard button. So it is sometimes useful after you press R1 to heal, press or tap on L1 so you can cancel this animation. Now I want to talk about the shotgun reloading trick, which appears to increase the firing rate of the weapon. We will first test this with the W870 tactical shotgun, which I have already upgraded. As you already know, the firing rate of the shotgun is very low in this game, especially the starting shotgun. Even if you attach an upgrade, there is still a significant cooldown in between each shot. However, you can sort of partly increase the firing rate of the shotgun by simply reloading a single round into it and then keep shooting. So when you have no ammo left in the weapon, Ethan will just reload a single round. If you keep tapping the firing button, he will just reload a single round into the shotgun and fire the weapon. As you can see, this is slightly faster than firing the shotgun normally. However, the shotgun reloading trick doesn't work very well with quick weapon switching. This is because if you have 0 ammo in the shotgun and you try to switch to it, you will have to then reload 1 round before you can fire. If you have ammo already loaded into the shotgun, if you switch to it, you can fire the weapon immediately. So if you like to quickly switch between different weapons, then make sure to have your shotgun loaded. Okay, here's a firing rate test of the shotgun that you get in the beginning of the game, the M1897. This shotgun has a really low firing rate, and even with a hair trigger upgrade, the firing speed is still reasonably slow. As you can see, if you just reload a single round and fire the weapon, it is a bit faster than firing the weapon normally. I'm not sure if you upgrade the reloading speed of this weapon, whether you can further increase the firing rate. I haven't tested this, but I imagine it is possible because upgrading the reloading speed will increase the speed of the reloading animation. Therefore, maybe you can further increase the firing rate. However, this would require more testing. So, if you want to maximize the firing rate on the shotgun, simply have no ammo loaded into the weapon. Then continue to tap the R2 button on the controller to reload 1 round and fire. I don't know if this will ever get patched in future game updates, but as of this moment, this trick works, so feel free to use it. Okay, so that is all I want to say about quick weapon switching, the shotgun reloading firing rate trick. These tricks can be really useful, especially in boss battles, because bosses will sometimes expose their weak point for a short period of time. During this time, it is important to do as much damage as possible, and quickly switching between weapons can potentially maximize your damage output. Now I want to talk about the knife. That is a knife you get in the beginning of the game, a well-used knife with a large blade. Now, if you press R2 on the controller, I'm using controller type A, so if you just press R2, you will do a knife slash. If you press L2 R2, you will do a thrust. Now you can combo this by pressing R2 R2, then L2 R2, so you do a slash and then a thrust. So 2 slashes, then a thrust. And you can combo this as many times as you like. However, your knife attack can be interrupted by enemy attacks. You can also combo the knife with quick switching, so you can quickly switch to another weapon and slash with the knife, or you can quickly switch back to the knife after firing another weapon. For example, you can fire the shotgun, then switch into the knife and slash twice, and then switch back to the shotgun. However, the knife has very limited range, so it's not always a good idea to use it in every situation because you have to get up close and personal with the enemy. It is easy to take damage when you are very close. At the lower difficulties, the knife is a decent weapon. It does modest amount of damage and it has pretty good stun power. You can easily stagger enemies with just a couple of hits from the knife. You can also trade with enemies. Trading means you guard or block enemy attacks, then counter with a couple of knife hits. Here you can see I defeated Bella without too much trouble on standard difficulty, just by simply trading with her. However, at high difficulties, it is a different story. Enemies do more damage and they have more health and more resistance to stun or staggering at high difficulties, especially the Village of Shadows difficulty. Enemies will have so much health and they will do a lot more damage, so it becomes impractical to just trade with them. So you cannot guard their attack and then counter with a knife. It's not going to work unless you want to use a lot of healing items. It is important to learn enemy attack patterns and dodge them, so you need to figure out how to dodge their attacks rather than guarding. So, how much damage does the knife do? Well, I did some testing on Mercenaries mode as well as a main story campaign. It depends on the attack that you use and also the enemies you hit. Let's just say that the light attack, which is if you press R2, Ethan will do 2 slashes, and the strong attack is a thrust, where you have to press L2 and then R2. So, on Mercenaries mode, if you hit Let's say the werewolf, with the light attack, it will do 50 damage. Strong attack will do 75 damage. If you hit the zombie with a light attack, the slash, it will do 75 damage. And if you hit them with a strong attack, it also seems to do 75 damage. However, if you hit them at their weak point, which is their head, it will do much more damage. In the story campaign, I also did some testing, and first I tested with a pistol that does 160 damage. It takes about 5 hits to take down a zombie, so that means the zombie has around 700 to 800 health. If I use a light attack, it takes me 12 hits. If I use a strong attack, it takes me 9 hits. If I aim at their weak point, which is their head, with the strong attack, it only takes 7 hits. Sometimes it takes a little bit more. It just depends whether I get them in their weak point. So that means the knife, the normal slash, does about 70 damage in the story campaign, so it is similar to the mercenaries mode. And if you hit them in their head, it does a lot more damage. And if you use a strong attack against the zombie, it also does more damage. So it is slightly different to the mercenaries mode, especially the strong attack. All the damage tests are done on standard difficulty. Although I have not tested against every single enemy in the game, I feel like 2 knife slashes or 2 light attacks from the knife is equal to about a pistol shot. The knife cannot be upgraded at the merchant, so its attack speed and damage is the same throughout the game, making it more useful in the early game as compared to the late game. However, the knife is infinite, so it cannot be broken, meaning it is useful in situations where you are running low on ammo. It is possible to hit multiple targets with the knife slash, so you can damage multiple targets that are close by using the knife. In terms of stun power, it takes about 3 hits to stagger a zombie at standard difficulty. However, it takes about 4 hits to stun a zombie on Village of Shadows difficulty. There's not a huge difference, so that is quite interesting. It is still possible to fight against some of the bosses using only the knife, even at the highest difficulty. Here, as you can see, I'm fighting against Monroe on Village of Shadows using only the knife from the start of the game. You can actually bait him to attack you, and then you can dodge the attack and hit him back with a couple of knife slashes, rinse and repeat. It takes a very long time, but it is possible to do. I will make a more detailed video later about this and how to beat Monroe, the third boss. I am not sure if bosses take additional damage from the knife. I have tried to use it before in boss battles, except for the second boss battle, and it still takes a very long time, so I don't think it works like Resident Evil 2 Remake. It can also be tricky to try and hit the boss with a knife because you have to get into melee range and you risk taking serious damage. The knife is a powerful weapon at lower difficulties because you can do a lot of damage. Enemies are weaker, you can easily stun them. However, it is limited at high difficulties because enemies are stronger. But you can still use it if you're running low on ammunition or if you simply just want a challenge. Okay, finally I want to talk about combat in Resident Evil Village. Overall, combat in this game can be a little bit frustrating, it's a bit wonky. I much prefer the combat in Resident Evil 3 Remake or even the original Resident Evil 4 game. Now, I prefer the over-the-shoulder camera angle, but first person is okay. The problem is the field of view is very limited, and enemies in high difficulty can move very quickly. Even enemies at lower difficulties can move quickly side to side, and they can easily flank you. So this camera angle can be very problematic in certain situations. Despite the limitation in your field of view, you are able to guard against attacks, which can save you from getting killed. Blocking attacks is also a reasonably easy skill to learn, as timing is not so critical. I have a separate video talking about guarding attacks in this game, and I will put a link in the description. I did miss a few things in that video relating to guarding, one of which is that if you hold the guard button down for control type A, it is L1, If you just hold L1 down, and if you keep trying to shoot your weapon, for example the pistol, Ethan will actually try to block with one hand, and he will try to shoot the pistol with the other hand. So you can actually guard and shoot at the same time. Most of the time, the damage reduction will still work. So you can actually guard attacks at the same time as you're damaging enemies with the pistol. If you try to zoom in by hold down the L2 button, you can actually increase the animation of the pistol firing. You don't actually increase the firing speed of the pistol, just the animation itself. Feel free to try it, it looks really funny. However, when you equip the shotgun and you hold down the L1 button, Ethan will actually guard in between each shot. So he will fire the shotgun and then he will guard in between the cooldown of each shot. This actually can be quite useful because the firing rate of the shotgun is very low. So at least in between each shot, you are going to take reduced damage if you ever get hit. Even though guarding is useful in many different situations, at the highest difficulty, you cannot simply rely on just blocking attacks. It is important to know enemy patterns and learn how to dodge their attacks. Dodging in this game is a little bit different to RE3 Remake. There is no perfect dodge, so you cannot rely on iframes. There are also situations where there should be iframes, or at least there was invincibility frames in previous Resident Evil games, but it is absent here. For example, if you climb the ladder or going down a zipline, you can still get hit and take damage. So you cannot use iframes to your advantage in many situations to escape damage. However, dodging attacks is not that simple. You can't just run past enemies to avoid taking damage. There appears to be some sort of delay in your position or in your movement. I'm not 100% sure about this, but when you try to dash past enemies, they can still sort of catch you with their attack, especially on high difficulties. So it will take a little bit of practice to get your positioning correct in order to dodge an attack. Sometimes it is a good idea to bait the attack in order to successfully dodge it. So you can move your character slightly into the enemy attack range, then quickly move away when they're about to strike, similar to Resident Evil 4. In other times, when you're running away from an attack, you can stop or slow down slightly just for a fraction of a second, then suddenly change direction, and this will also cause the attack to miss. Accurate aiming can also be a challenge, especially in the middle of a heated combat situation. I just find the PlayStation controller a bit tedious, and I find it sometimes difficult to move the crosshair quickly in order to target a boss's weak point and accurately hit them. Now, maybe I'm just not very good with the controller. I hope it's easier on PC with a keyboard and a mouse, because you have a little bit more control with the mouse as you're controlling it with your wrist. So maybe aiming is a bit easier. I never played it on PC, so I can't really comment on this. But at high difficulties, enemies move so quickly, it's very difficult to get an accurate shot, especially an accurate shot on their weak point. A few more interesting things to note here relating to combat is that in this game, even on the highest difficulty, there are less instant kill attacks as compared to Resident Evil 3 Remake on Inferno difficulty. In RE3 Remake on Inferno, assuming you don't use any unlockables, it is very easy to get killed because many enemies have instant kill attacks. However, this is less likely to occur on Resident Evil Village. There are less instant kill attacks, especially from bosses. Sometimes, even if your health is at yellow quotient, you can get hit by a big boss attack, and it only takes you to danger. You can quickly use a healing item to get back to full health. You also have the ability to guard, which is easier to do as compared to perfect dodge. If your character's health drops very low, that is, they're on danger status, and the screen becomes red, they will automatically regenerate their health until yellow quotient. This regeneration will occur regardless which difficulty you're on. The same with checkpoints and autosave. You will get autosave even if you're on Village of Shadow difficulty, same as compared to if you're on standard difficulty. This is different to Resident Evil 3 Remake on Inferno, where autosave is disabled. Despite these benefits, there are some serious drawbacks to this game as well. If your health gets very low, on danger status, your screen becomes red and you move much slower. This becomes harder to dodge attacks. Plus, healing must be done in real time. This is different to RE3 Remake, where you can pause to go to the inventory screen and then heal. Yes, in that game, you will also slow down if you take too much damage and your health becomes very low, but you can still do the perfect dodge. So even on danger status, you can still use perfect dodge to avoid taking damage or getting killed. One more point that I want to mention here is that you can actually run away from most combat situations in the game. You can move to the next area, complete an objective, then backtrack to the previous area, and enemies will magically disappear. Then you can pick up supplies and search for treasures. So this is different to previous Resident Evil games, where if you backtrack, you may encounter enemies that you have not previously defeated. If you're starting a new game on Village of Shadows difficulty, it is important to learn how to escape from combat encounters without spending too much ammo. This means you have to run away from fights, simply because you don't have enough ammunition to defeat everything. It is useful to save up additional ammo for boss battles, because they're very strong and you cannot escape from them. Of course, this is not absolutely necessary. If you ever run out of ammo in a boss battle, you can always switch to the knife. But it's going to be a lot harder to hit bosses with a knife as compared to the shotgun or the Magnum. So saving additional ammo for a boss battle is going to make your life a lot easier. Okay, that is all I want to say about combat in Resident Evil Village. It will take time and practice to get used to, especially if you are playing on the highest difficulty. I hope this video has been informative. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.